Folks, this is Pastor Jim from Crosspoint Church in Bettendorf, Iowa. Have you ever wondered why God has difficult people in your life, people that you just can't seem to do anything about? I mean, after all, when we get saved, we're supposed to begin to exhibit and enjoy the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, long-suffering, all that Galatians 5 stuff. But if you're like me, you ask yourself, how am I going to ever experience or exhibit any of those characteristics with these difficult people in my life? We actually learn about it from an unlikely source in Judges chapters 2 and 3. And what's happening is the generation of Joshua and Caleb, that generation that entered into the land, they've now died off. And this new generation, a generation that grew up in the land of Canaan, they're not pursuing after God. They're not worshiping Him. In fact, they don't really look any different than the surrounding nations, the nations of the Canaanites and the nations of the Philistines. So because of that, God says, I'm not going to fight for you anymore. I'm not going to drive out the inhabitants. I'm going to leave them there to test you. And the idea is to test them through trials. You see, nothing in life ever grows without testing, without trials. And our faith is no different, and the faith of the Israelites was no different. So God left the inhabitants there to test the faith of the Israelites so that it could be strengthened. But there's actually more to it than that. We read in chapter 3 that God also left them there so that they could learn a necessary skill set. You see, that nation, that generation had not learned to conduct war. The previous generation had conducted many wars throughout the land of Canaan, but this generation had not, so they didn't know how to be warriors. And it was a skill set necessary for them to learn in order to thrive, being surrounded by hostile nations. So God leaves them there so that they can learn something that's necessary for their survival. So the next time you deal with a difficult person, I want you to ask yourself these two questions. Question number 1 is, how is my faith being strengthened through this experience? And question number 2 is, what are the skill sets that I need to learn in order to thrive in the environment that God has placed me? We're going to talk more about that this Sunday at 9:15 and 11. I hope you can make it. I think you'll be glad you did. Thanks for watching.